Okay, guys, we are going to just track now to um, something different. Well, not something different. We're gonna go wider now and break down some of the impacts of this game against the Broncos, and now with the injuries, specifically to our man Metcalf. Firstly, for me, I'll let Ash go after me, but what a wonderful season he's had.
Yeah.
On the verge for me of being one of the star. Well, he's been this one of the star halfbacks of the season, and was building a great resume to kind of elevate himself as a consistent seven that will be a mainstay amongst NRL for the next couple of years. We understand the influence of the ACL injury and how sad that is, and I feel for him and show love to Metcalf and his family at this time. I know it's tough. He's had a bad run of injuries, but for me, he is a great talent and he's developing. He's done so well. There's been some amazing work that he's done. There's some of his individual brilliance. I think it was a Dolphins game or one of the games. He did a little grubber for himself, picked it up,
Yep.
offload to Metcalf, who scored. Capewell, clutch kick from 50 meters out at home to beat the Broncos. I think it was, or I can't remember. Yeah, um, there's just been some great moments from him that shows he has potential. Um, Ash, I'll throw it at you. Just your thoughts on Metcalf's season. Obviously, it's finito. There's nothing more he can do for now. But what do you make of his season thus far? And what for you? What did he show to you for you that his future here at the Warriors looks like?
Yeah, incredible, bro. Like, honestly, I could have said all my, I made video of who should be the halfback for the Warriors this season, who's going to be the big contributor, who's going to step up to the plate. And even I didn't expect Metcalf to hit the level that what he hit this season in his first season in that 7 jersey, right? Like, people don't understand how hard it is to go from, a number 6 role and playing eyes up type of footy, more field type of footy, than going to the actual main chief, right? And getting the boys around the park. And then also adding that and also adding your game on top of that, right? With your running game, which is what Metcalf
Yeah,
actually, end up producing for us for this season in general. Before the Daily M's went behind closed doors, he was leading the Daily M's, and I probably would say with the period that we had now after probably not the last 2 games, is him and James Tedesco around about there. I'd probably still have him maybe just slightly ahead because I think before those last 2 games he had a couple of good ones in there before the Daily M points went behind closed doors. But we're looking at a guy that I think for me, it's not his athleticism. It wasn't the ability for him to play halfback. It wasn't any of those sort of things for me. It was more of his mindset that I enjoyed out of Luke Metcalf. And, to be incredible, to be great in rugby league, and he's going to get tested again here with his injury, but is to have a great mindset and to always continue to learn and always build on your game. And I think this is what Luke Metcalf has shown, in pre-seasons past. He came out and said, I want to be the 7 for New Zealand Warriors. He dreamt it, he wanted it, and he gone out and got it. He said that I can be the goal kicker. He went it, he did it, he gone out and done it. People would argue, obviously, how good he was, but, he's shown moments where he stole games for us, especially on the back of his goal kicking, right? The Broncos game with the penalty goal at the end, big key moments in that area. He stepped up to the plate when he needed to. The field goal against the Dragons, this is all mentality, and he believes in himself so much that he's going to learn and continue to grow from that. And I think that's the best thing about Luke Metcalf comparatively to a lot of halfbacks is he believes he's great and he's going to fight to be great, instead of just resting on his laurels and just thinking that his athleticism and his ability is going to take him to the promised land. No, he thinks that he's just going to fight for everything, and I'm sure he's going to do that with his injury as well. He's had this setback in the past with his ACL, so he knows what it takes to get back to first grade. But it's so great to see that he's going to be ready to go. He's going to fight for every inch of it, and he's going to come back in that 7 jersey, and again continue to prove people wrong to think that maybe he won't be the guy for us in the future. Who knows? But I think he's proven that already that he's someone we want to keep around.
yeah, man. His confidence, it showed on the field, man, and he did it in his own way, in various, which I love. I love the balance that him and Chanel had. It wasn't excessive to one certain style. It was balanced between. I mean, sure, at times I felt as though the attack could be a bit more dynamic. But for me personally, I'll take that every day. I'll take a W every day. doesn't if it's 6-8, 2-4,
Yep.
1-0. If you get it over the line, I'm happy. Um, just thinking about what the future holds for Luke. Look, data wise, what was his winning percentage? You told me a couple of weeks ago it was like 70% or 75% when he plays, something like that.
He's one
I
of our
imagine,
best,
yeah,
especially, for a lot of people at the top, they've only played 3 or 4 games. He's played like a ton of games there and he's at a 70% win percentage with the Warriors around about that, which is
yeah.
crazy.
You can't take that away from him. He even though his season's over, you look at his win percentage, his numbers add up when he's on the field. So he
Yep.
has that in his bag. Now let's break it down. The evaluation, obviously, of the injuries. Look, my said to everyone at the start of the year, I want Luke to start, but I want to make sure he gets through the season unscathed. When I meant that, I meant a lot of it, but based on hamstring reoccurring injuries.
Yeah.
We understand that these are ACLs, so they're different injuries, freakish or whatever how you want to call it. The man has had some significant injuries in the past 3 years, but not hamstring, which is for me a good sign. But
Big one.
ACL is a tough one now because it does tie in ACLs. We know with Nathaniel Roach, we know with other players, ACLs can be tricky.
Yep.
But the data shows for me that he should definitely be re-signed long term. And at the moment, he's at the top of the picking list in terms of halves. Now, if you go out and get an Isaiah Couture or whoever else that see,
Yeah.
go ahead and get him, and then fit comfortably within that. But for now, I definitely would sign him long term. But does that concern you, the injury history, Ash, and what's your thoughts on his progression long term and what we should do with Metcalfe?
Yeah, as a realist, you got to take into account the injury history, right? And I think it was a really key point you brought up before. Especially with the Warriors, he's been dealing with these hamstring niggles, which is, yeah, a lot of it due to his athleticism, probably his run style, stuff like that, right? I think he's cleaned up that area. Last year he dealt with a bone break, which is a pretty freak accident. And I think context does have to play its hand in a lot of these sort of chats around injuries, stuff like that. That one he did over the weekend is a very, very rare way to do your ACL. If you check out NRL Physio, he actually breaks it down to say, this isn't a very common case, and it's only happened a couple of times really in the NRL. And the other time it actually happened, I'm pretty sure, in training with Jonah Pezzett, where he did his ACL off of a knock, and it was more of a placement instead of due to maybe cutting angles and stuff like that, which usually you need kind of turns around. So it wasn't due to the fact of maybe his body giving away in that sort of sense of without any contact or anything like that. Mid tackle, he kind of paced out like the ACL went in that moment. I think context in that area should say that I believe that if that moment didn't happen, I believe he would have been okay. It wasn't Luke Metcalf fatiguing through other injuries or anything like that to cause this to happen. I think it was one of those freak moments again, which unfortunately certain players seem to have in their game at the moment. When you're discussing, I'm sure we're going to get to the contract talks and try to keep him around. That's always going to play in contract talks as a business in general. You want to get the best value as you can. But I think the other argument to that is I'm sure there's another club out there that is willing to just take the shot on him because they've already seen enough and believe in themselves to say, well, he may get through the full season with us. Tom Trbojevic, with all the injuries that he's had, I'm sure there's clubs out there that will still sign Tom Trbojevic if Manly are willing to let him go, just for the hope that they're going to get a 20-game Tom Trbojevic that's going to take him to the promised land. Luke Metcalf should be put up, I wouldn't say next to Tom Trbojevic because he's upper echelon of player, as in when you look at overall of what that guy can produce. But Metz is got the ability as well to be a game changer for a lot of sides. And as we've seen with the Warriors, with him in and out, consistently the last couple of years, he's been one of the key differences to our side. So you can't go past what he's produced. And I think that he's shown ability that, he's not breaking down due to, let's say old age, or not old age, but as in fatigue
He's
issues.
In the prime. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more so a lot of freak accidents that are kind of happening in his career right now, I believe anyway. So I think context has got to play its part in these discussions as well.
Yeah. Again, his data will hold up. And be careful, Warriors fans. Someone might Like bag him up. What does
Yeah.
Beyonce say? If you like it, then you should have put a ring on it. Put the ring on the man. Like, don't let him go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I definitely think he's one of those talents that we need to put. We need to do it, get it done. Now, for how much? Look, I think this is kind of a freakish accident for sure. I definitely agree with that. But the injuries in his mid prime, we're in a window here with him that is he's not an old SJ, you know, with an ACL. This is a young guy with room to grow,
Agreed.
get the deal done in the off season, and commit that way. Now you got an opportunity with other players. We'll get into that later, but there's opportunities there for growth as well. And then you might see the rise of a new halves pairing for Metcalf. Who knows? And we might talk about that as well. So, and just shout out to our man, Josh Hill.
Woo!
Money towards a Luke Metcalf recovery program. Let's get him in that ice bath and to Ash New Zealand. Absolutely, guys. And guys, again, just quickly hit the hashtag I'm in if you want to win a ticket to come to the Wise Up meet and greet for free. We've got spot prizes, we've got stickers, we've got giveaways, free drinks and beverages. Feel free to come here as well. Thank you, Josh, man. We do appreciate you, brother. But yeah, like I think any final things on Metcalf, I think he's his data shows and what he's done, he's cemented himself as he's going to be our future half or one of the halves for the future.
Yeah, and like, you know, looking over, you know, other halfbacks in the competition, like again, there isn't that many incredible halfback, like, you know, going around at the moment. When a club sees any sort of potential of a guy that they could get, that can completely change their team around the way Luke Metcalf kind of has for us, you know, this year, I think they're going to try and snap him up. And like when we're talking about injuries too, you know, I saw a comment bring up before that he hasn't finished an NRL season with us, you know, for this period and that here. But there's been a period now where Nathan Cleary hasn't finished, played a full season of rugby league as well, and he's been dealing with shoulder issues. He's been dealing with a lot of chronic little issues during his career as well with injuries. So,
yeah,
and you know, no one's ever questioning him with the 1.4, you know, price tag or whatever they're gonna, you know, teams would pay 1.8 for that man. You know, even if he plays 18 games per season, like Metz has shown that he again. I don't want to put him up in that echelon right now, but we've seen a guy that's got the mentality and he has the ability to, you know, try and push to those upper echelon type of players. You know, I don't want to see that, like, you know, looking at injuries and that and see him go and what could have been, you know, bite us in the ass like it has done before. And last thing too is, you know, I think we're in a key moment that Metcalf stayed with us because we gave him his opportunity. He's produced that to the ability what he's got to right now. I think it's also another little give and take moment here where if we can prove and put an arm around him and say, listen, we believe in you. We're going to give you your money and give you a recovery. You come back and you be the halfback we want you to be. I think you will repay the favor there as well. You know, you don't want to go out and have like a little bit of a bad taste in his mouth if we're just going to be like, well, we might pull some offers here due to the injury that you've had. You know, he's going to be like, well, you know, what happened to the relationship we do have? Like, have I not been good enough for you for that period there too, right? There's relationships at play here. So if we're able to keep him in the good books, he might stay around. Maybe he might take a little bit of unders as well. But if we put an arm around him and say, we believe in you, we're going to get you through your recovery, I'm sure he's going to come out the other end and give for us at the end of the day.